All right, welcome everybody. I want to share with you what is probably one of my favorite graphs here. Um, I've used this in a many of presentations, and this is the NLP communication model. What it essentially is how we take information in from the outside world, right? So also how this eventually is a behavior cycle, meaning it affects your thoughts, feelings, emotions, which is in turn reflects into your behavior. And so, what's important to understand is that we don't directly experience reality as it is. Okay, we respond to our map of reality based on this process. So I want to explain this to you. Now, we have an event that happens in our external world, right? Our external event. And we use our five senses to experience this event. So we have the visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory. Visual, obviously, we see things. Auditory, obviously, we can hear things. Kinesthetic sense, which is our sense of touch, as well as like physical touch, as well as evaluative feelings and emotions. We have our olfactory sense, which is our sense of smell, and our gustatory, our sense of taste. And this is how we actually experience reality. We don't interact with it directly. We sense it through these five neurological pathways that we experience reality. And so through those five senses, there is at any one time in these events and these things happening in our outside world, there is 2 million bits of information coming into your unconscious mind at any moment in time. At any one moment in time, any second. And so what that means is that's way too much for us to consciously perceive. So what happens is our conscious mind, right, where we can focus our attention, brings that all the way down to about 134 bits of information per second that we can consciously process of the 2 million. So we're talking about a 0.0000001% of the actual raw data that's coming into our senses that we're actually perceiving what's out there. What that means is you can be driving down the highway, and because you're focused on driving, your attention, your conscious awareness, those 134 bits are focused on keeping you on the road, keeping your speed at a good rate, making sure that you arrive to your destination safely. It's going to delete, right? It runs filters to filter that 2 million bits of information coming in while we're driving down to 134. And it does that by deleting, right? As you see in the filters here, it does that by deleting all the other information coming in. You don't see the sign over here. You don't see the billboard over here. You don't see the cars that are in your blind spots or that are in front of you, even because you're paying attention to what is ahead, right? The thing that you're focused on. We also generalize and we distort. We do this because if we had to remember how to tie our shoes every day we woke up and had to tie our shoes, or if we every time we put on a different pair of shoes, if we had to like learn how to tie those shoes, we would just be exhausted. It would take forever. And so we filter things, we generalize them so that we know, well, if I know how to tie this shoe, those look like laces, those are shoes, I can tie those shoes too. We generalize things, right? We do this out of efficiency because we can't process all that information. What happens is because of this, we filter through different means. Okay, we have memories, right, that we filter through. We have decisions, beliefs, our values, and our metaprograms. Metaprograms are just another word for different ways of thinking. So, for example, you can be a pessimist or you can be an optimist, right? Those are types of metaprograms. You can be a towards motivated person or an away from motivated person. These are just different types of ways of thinking that we generalize towards. We chunk that information into 5 to 9 chunks, and that's because 7 plus or minus 2 is about how much information we can actually chunk down from those filtering. And then what we end up making is what's called an internal representation, a representation of that event. Okay, so for example, I want you to think about yesterday and you brushing your teeth last night before bed. Hopefully you brushed your teeth last night before bed, but think about when you brushed your teeth last night before bed. All right, pull up that picture in your mind, or that movie, however you see it in your mind's eye. And what you're going to realize is the memory that you have, the picture in your mind's eye that you have of you brushing your teeth last night, is not the same as the event of you actually brushing your teeth, right? Could we agree on that? And so what that means is the only thing that's going on is the now. The ever existing now is the only thing that's ever happening. And so anything else, whether that is a past event, an external event, or a future event, or a future thought, or future idea that we can project into our mind's eye, they're not real. They're just maps of this territory. It's this unique territory, and we got there from our filters. This is why, because people have different values, beliefs, made different decisions, and have different memories, they filter information differently. The same external event can happen. We all will filter. So we have a sensation, then we have a perception, and our perception is created here at our filters. And because you and I have different meta programs, values, belief systems, made different decisions, and have different memories, we are going to view that same external event with a different perspective and create a completely different, unique map of our reality, an internal representation of that event. What comes from that internal representation is a state, right? A state of being. What does that trigger in you, right? I can see a picture of a dog in my mind. I'm picturing my childhood dog, which was a black Labrador right now. And as I picture my dog, her name was Sapphire, it puts me in a really joyful state. I can picture throwing her the ball and her bringing the ball back to me and taking her for walks, and just her being there, and her being around when I needed to have that companion. And it really brings me joy and happiness as I think about it. I can feel it in my body. It's changing my state, right? It's making me feel and be a specific way. And that in turn is going to change the physiological response that comes with that, right? As I think of that dog that I like, it makes me happy, and it changes my physiology, right? I can feel more warmth. I actually feel the kinesthetic feelings going on in my body as I think about that, right? And from there, that in turn is going to drive my behavior, or what we do. So what we can synthesize down from this, right, is that yes, we don't experience reality directly. We experience our map of reality, or our internal representation of reality. The good news about that is when we want to make a change about something like a negative emotion we're experiencing that's happened to us, or um, some sort of past memory that we are giving us some sort of negative response to, or we're not feeling good about, or some just any kind of negative emotion that is coincides with the thought of that memory. If we can change the way we're internally representing that information of that event, right, the way we code, so to speak, the way we have programmed ourselves to remember that, and the meaning we placed on it through our filters, if we can change the internal representation, we can then in turn change our state response, our physiological response, and in turn will change our behavior. Okay, let me give you an example. All right, do this exercise with me. I want you to think of something that's happened over the past, I don't know, 2-3 days to you that has just a little bit of a negative emotion attached to it. Nothing too high level, okay? Nothing big T trauma here or anything that is high level. I want you to go very low level. Maybe somebody said something to you that bothered you, or maybe you made a bad decision, or you feel guilty about something that you don't want to feel that way anymore, and you don't want to experience those negative emotions. So do this for me. Remember that how we remember things is our internal representation, right? That event, that whatever happened, that conversation you had with that person that left you feeling bad, it has gone by, okay? The only thing that exists is right now. And so because that has gone by, what's left is your internal representation of it. So what I want you to do is, using your mind's eye, Bring that memory back up into your mind. I want you to see it as an image or a movie, however you can bring it up, okay? And picture yourself there. Picture yourself being there in that experience. And what you're going to notice is that you're either going to be associated or disassociated in that image or movie. Associated meaning you're there experiencing it through your own eyes as if you're there reliving it, and disassociated where you are in the picture seeing yourself as another person. You are outside of the frame and you are seeing yourself in that interaction through a different set of eyes. And so we also have all these other different submodalities. If we're working just with the visual sense of this internal representation, we can see things in color or black and white, focused, defocused. We can see them bright or dim. And so what I want you to do is start to play with how you're representing this picture of this past experience that you're unhappy with. And I want you to try to, if you're associated, try to disassociate yourself, meaning take yourself and step out of yourself. Imagine you're floating out of your body and you're now watching yourself from a distance in this movie. Now, this movie could be really big and close to you, or it could be really small and far away. I want you to shrink that movie down and push it away from you. In fact, push it about 100 yards away from you, about the length of a football field. Go ahead and try that now, and take notice of what happens in your body when you do that. I also want you, if it's color, to make that picture black and white, okay? And if it's focused, I want you to defocus it. In fact, make it so it's a little bit fuzzy and harder to see. And go ahead and leave that picture there for a moment and just notice what's going on in your body about that past event. Now, when you think about that past event, what are you feeling going on in your body? Has something changed, or are you still experiencing the same level of negative emotion, discomfort that you were feeling before? Most likely, that experience and the negative emotional charge that's attached to that experience has drastically reduced. For some people, it's going to go away completely. And we can continue to play with these submodalities of these different senses because you're not directly experiencing reality. We are representing it as a map in our mind based on how we're picking up information, raw data, through our five senses, perceiving it through our filters, and then again creating this map that we then have coded to represent that event. If we change the coding and we change how we're representing that event, we change the emotional response and we change the behavior. This is extremely beneficial when we want to release negative emotions that are associated with different past events that have happened, or anxiety that we are worried about experiencing in the future, or that we're experiencing now as a result of worry about the future. We can change those types of feelings and sensations so that we give you more sense of empowerment and bring that back and give you control back so that you're not overtaken by these emotions and not overtaken by unwanted habits and behaviors that you are doing as a result of these negative emotions that you're experiencing. I hope this was really helpful for everybody. I'd love for you to comment or send me a message if you'd like to expand or if you have any questions that are relative to today's lesson. But I'm here to help, and I want to get this information out to you as often as possible. If there's things you want to see that maybe you haven't seen from me yet, please shoot me some messages. I would love to get some more topics that people are interested in hearing about or interested in learning more about. I think the tools of NLP and hypnosis and working with these deep layers of the subconscious and creating deeper changes with people is something that is much needed in the world today, and just with people in general. There are tools out there that can help you manage these states and manage these behaviors and get you to achieve excellence in the way that you want to, in the way that you deserve. And so I want to get this information out there. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you need help, if you want to comment or shoot me a message just to share if this has helped you, or if you want to share this out to people who you know can benefit and get value out of it. Please do that. Thanks again. This is Coach Mike, and I'll see you on the next one.